Welcome to Around the Blockchain. Today we're talking about Bitcoin metrics. 3 signs the bottom is in. We're also talking about Polkadot shakeup. The CEO is out. And also top NFT royalties. You will be surprised at who's number 2. We all know Yuga's number 1, but Big Corporation is actually number 2. And it's going to be a great panel. We're going to start on the top right. We have from the Piano Lounge, it is Piano Matty B. Make sure you watch in that background. You don't know what you'll see through those windows. Then on the bottom right, we have Nerd Girl. You check her out at NRD GRL 007, correct? It's hard to find you sometimes. Maybe it's a shadow
Nerd Girl,
band.
no vowels.
Maybe it's a shadow band. All right. Then on the bottom left, we have the purveyor of Danger Close Alpha. I think they got another free mint, correct? So make sure it's free. It's free. I think they're giving out 5 ETH. Maybe check out their project. It's free. Gas is like $1 right now. Don't worry about it. And then on the top left, holding down Ben's spot, we have Kellam. And don't worry, he's not going to punch the desk and make the microphone fall over. A lot of people concerned about that microphone. Can it stand? It's going to fall over. Microphone's steady. Don't worry, people. It's not going anywhere. All right, but before we talk about those topics, let's look at the Bitcoin chart. And where are the crypto market? Where are we heading right now? It looks like Bitcoin is above 19,000, briefly just kind of flirting like I want to stay below. Now up 75 or 0.75%. So not a whole lot of action, still just mostly sideways. But I want to get straight into the couple charts right here. There's a few metrics saying the bottom is in. First, we just kind of set the scene with the chart. You see, we seem to have some strong support. First metric is the Bitcoin MVRVZ score. You see here, overbought and oversold statuses based on the market and fair value here. And historically, when we cross that fair value, indicates a top. Conversely, we see that bottom, the green zone. That's when it seems like maybe there's a reversal. Just to look at it real quick, you can see it's been a long time in the green zone, and then it's just a nice little pump here. Very short time in the green zone, pump. You can see it here. Very short time in the green zone, pump. You can see it there. Now, Maddie, I know you're a macro man. You like to look at those long candles, those, the weekly, that monthly, that 2-day, that 5-day.
Yeah.
How long are we going to be in that green zone? Are you saying 2022 is this a short time in that green zone, or is this going to be, maybe a longer time with all the macro events here?
Well, the thing is, everybody wants it to be over, obviously, right? Wouldn't that be great if the bear market just went down and pop back up? That would be super. But what we want, what we get is not always the same thing. And I mean, everyone says that this is different or it's going to be the same and the cycles are the cycles. And I kind of agree with it all. But at the same time, we are in uncharted territories, and who knows what's going to happen. I think like no one, as a TA content creator, no one wants the price to move more than me. When it's at 19.1 for like 4 months, it's really hard to read a chart other than say it's 19.1. So, I mean, we can have all the signals in the world saying it's the bottom, and basically all the signals are saying it's the bottom, but whether it is the bottom, who knows, DZ?
Yeah, who knows? If we did know, we wouldn't be on this show, right? We'd be on an island somewhere. All right, Kelly,
right.
I want to bring up another. This is the number 2 metric of the 3. They're saying, the bottom is in. It is the reserve risk. This is the confidence of the long-term holders. You think when the price is real high, we're not confident in the price, and you'll see it reflected on how long people hold Bitcoin. When the price is real low, we're super confident in Bitcoin and we'll hold it longer. So if you see here, confidence real low is this orange line. You see it touching the bottom of the band, 2015. That then next thing you know, off to the races. Here, dipped into the area, bounced above, and then crashed back down. That COVID crash almost hit the bottom of the area. Then again, off to the races. This is a logarithmic chart, so it's actually hard to tell. That is a 4,000 to 69,000 run up there. It's just the logarithmic makes it a little difficult to see. Then you can see here, Kelly, we're below the green line. It's looking very dangerous. Is the reversal in? And, kind of same thing I asked Piano, Matty here. Or is the macro environment going to keep us pressed below? What is your prediction?
Well, I think it's important to realize with, first off, thank you for having me back. Always love being here with you, DZ, and everybody. I want to say that we have to remember with on-chain metrics, a lot of people that were using this going into, like, I would say November and January of November last year, January of this year, looking at all the on-chain metrics, and they were calling for this basically short-term pullback and then a rise to new all-time highs, because there were so many different things on the on-chain metrics that didn't necessarily reflect that we had hit a top. Now, in all honesty, it was the best thing that could have happened, because it was a reckoning for a lot of analysts out there to really look into these, how these metrics are calculated, and also take into account the fact that Bitcoin price and the growth of the Bitcoin and crypto ecosystem has only been in a quantitative easing for the most part, up only sort of traditional market sort of context. And so when we're looking at reserve risk, I find it actually is one of my favorite on-chain charts, because it's taken into account the confidence of the long-term holders. And when there's less long-term holders and there's more short-term holders, that's when you're seeing that oscillator basically peak up into the red zones. Now, one of the other things I do want to mention here is those green zones and red zones are areas that were basically put on those charts by analysts. That's not saying if it enters a green zone, it's a buy. If it
it's not like a golden
zone,
pocket or some sort of Fibonacci level. It's just essentially put there after the fact, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's saying based on historically when the metric is just around these levels, high or low, it's been typically this part of the market cycle. But that brings into the point that I was just mentioning. We're in a different sort of global economic context right now with what's going on with markets. So I still find the reserve risk incredibly important, because the more long-term holders you have in a market, the more stable the price can be, and the more resilient it can be against small volatility. The more short-term holders you have, the smallest volatility can turn into a cascade of sell-offs that actually perpetuate into a larger bear trend. So the fact that we have so many long-term holders right now, despite what's going on with price, it says a lot about where we're at in the cycle. Now, if those people start selling, then we're going to see new lows that are going to be quite scary.
Yeah, very, very scary. All right, and you bring up price. That takes us to our third and final metric. Here's the Bitcoin Pule multiple. And think of the ratio of daily Bitcoin issuance in dollars. The easy way to describe that is how much is the Bitcoin worth that it prints every day, and then reflected with a yearly moving average of that value. You can see a little line. It's maybe a little hard. You can see a massive drop off on each of those lines. These are the Bitcoin halving events, where it is essentially slashed in half. Now, Nerd Girl, we don't have that much time before the next halving for that chart to get a little bit higher. Me and it is going to get cut in half the second the halving hits. We're traditionally probably about, I would say, 20 months away. Again, there's a lot of weird Bitcoin blocks lately. It might get pushed back a little bit, but are we going to be able to get that Pule multiple higher in the meantime, or is this just that global data just looking too rough for us to get higher?
Yeah, I'm not at all a charts analysis person. So I don't do technical analysis really, from looking at charts. I do social analysis, measuring social sentiment. And what I see from the way that people are interacting with each other online definitely indicates despair. But all of that said, everyone on this panel so far has mentioned that we're in uncharted territories in terms of the larger macroeconomic environment. We don't know if, World War, are we already in World War III? I can't say that the despair won't get worse, but I do see the signs of despair in the market. Hopefully that means that we turn around in time for the next halving, and it isn't just the case that, Bitcoin was too young to really draw those conclusions about its patterns.
Yeah, we'll get to see, I was going to say, we'll get to see the power of quantitative tightening and the power of quantitative easing, because, we've been QE since 2012. So it's going to be interesting to see how this halving does play out. Now, final question on the topic here, Crypto Keeper. A lot of people are saying, all right, we have these metrics, these multiples, these MVRV. I don't know what all this means. Tell me about the price. That's why I want to show you this chart. This is the first one we showed, just showing that line of support. This goes back to the June lows, when we hit it with the June lows. So we're still flirting with support. The support seems strong, but you keep knocking on that door, it's more likely to open. So my question to you, Crypto Keeper, are we going to hold that support? Are we going to crash through? What's your prediction here?
Thanks for having me on the show again. But this is, for me, I think it's for me, looking around the world today, I think it's a given. I think we're going to crash through it, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. I don't think that there's a chance that once we get past midterms, right? Once the government is done finessing basically what they can to try to garner votes, I think after that happens, the floodgates are going to open. I don't think that it's going to be, and I've talked about this quite a bit, I don't think it's going to be a long time, but there's going to be something that is going to happen that is going to give a huge opportunity. Listen, the technicals should always, I think when people talk about technicals versus fundamentals versus things like the news versus technicals, the technicals work, and these hedge funds and these large institutions use those a lot to actively trade. But the reality is, in my estimation, when you have huge news happening, when something in the world happens that, let's say, like a war or something going on like the COVID thing happened, there is no technical analysis that is going to predict that, and there's no technicals that are going to stop it from dumping through that level of support. And so because I do believe that we still have some pain to go as it relates to our economy as a whole, I think that we're going to see one more downside. I think it's also going to really show you who is here to truly stay, because if we start seeing Bitcoin get down into the low teens towards that 10K mark, I got to tell you, huge opportunity for most of us that are here right now and actively but the people that bought at 69 and aren't actually really bought in, just got here for the money, they might start to rethink, what am I here for? Is this going to zero? There's a lot of people that actually capitulate when they start to really feel some fear, and it feels kind of comfortable right now because it's been sitting so dead still without the volatility. So I think we're going to blast through it to the downside, unfortunately.
All right. Speaking of blasting through, Crypto Billy blasted through with the super chat, actually shouting out Crypto Keeper, saying the 5 ETH giveaway details on your YouTube debate. Crypto.
Let's go.
So yeah, thank you, Billy. All right, let's move on and talk a little Polkadot. There has been a little shakeup. Gavin Wood is out. This is the Polkadot founder, and he is no longer the CEO. He did say CEO has never been a role in which he has coveted. He will still be the majority stakeholder in the company or in the firm, and the co-founder will serve as the new CEO. It's Parity Technologies. They are the firm behind Polkadot and the Kusama blockchains there. It's Bjorn Wagner is going to be stepping up as the new CEO. And this is all according to a Bloomberg report. And also, this guy has a serious track record in the blockchain space. Not only, did he found, Parity Technologies, also worked on a little coding language called Solidity, BJ's favorite. I'm just kidding. Yeah, he also worked on Solidity. So a lot of credentials in the space. I do kind of want to look at the price a little bit because it's actually been a little bit volatile. If we go to CoinMarketCap, type in DOT, that is the ticker for Polkadot. You see it actually kind of largely flat, but if we go to this 1 month, you can see some nasty dips right there, and they just kind of had a nasty dip a little over 24 hours ago. You can't quite see it on the one-day chart, but Matty B, we saw that dump. Again, I know you don't have any inside sources, or maybe you do. I don't know, just trying to protect you here. That massive dump came in before the news broke. Did that dump fall in line with TA? Was it maybe already there, a little bearish divergence, or does that smell like insider action to you?
Well, that's a good question, DZ. Like, here's the thing. In all my experiences with business ventures, when the leader of the company, the CEO or whatever you want to call it, stepped down, everyone would ask me, well, what's going on with so-and-so? I can't believe he just stepped down. What, can you tell me something about it? And more like, I'd say 8 times out of 10, it was a personal reason why they stepped down. It had nothing to do with incompetency. And I've said this before, it's maybe an unpopular opinion, but there's a lot of mega nerds in this industry. God love them. We're all here because of the mega nerds and their talent. But when they become billionaires and they get all this female attention and all of a sudden they have a girlfriend for the first time in their life, next thing you know, someone's leaning, like, take a look at the picture of that guy. Maybe the girlfriend said, listen, I appreciate that you're a billionaire and you're a CEO, but I want to spend more time watching Netflix and chilling. So you're going to have to make a decision. This thing that you built or me. And, mega nerds, they don't have the life experience with how to deal with romantic versions of girlfriends. So they capitulate. And maybe that's the reason why he stepped down from CEO. We'll never know, DZ.
You know what? I think a picture has 1,000 words, right? And that look,
exactly.
I think it maybe painted that scenario.
Put a picture of him. Can you whip that picture of him again? Let's just take a look at it. There you go.
All right.
But
Well,
you know what I wanted to add to that too. You know,
Kelly, go
just-
right ahead, Kelly, please, before we go
just-
off the rails too hard here.
No, not off the rail too hard, but you asked if there's some insider trading. You know, my thoughts around it are when there's moves like this that happen, there's things, regardless of the insider trading thing, there's small moves that start taking place around that clue in the people that really that are really looking into a particular project, whether it's coins moving from one wallet to another or somebody
watching
and it
the
has nothing
right
to do with insider
wallets.
trading, but the people that are tuned in, it starts cascading and that those sell-offs happen ahead of time. And it looks like insider trading, and it's just people that are aware.
No, I think that's a really good point. I'll even give an extra point. There are people, there's Nansen, there's other they'll follow famous people. There's people watch Vitalik's wallets. You know, they'll watch the founders of Sheeb. They'll watch those wallets. So there's definitely famous wallets, quote unquote. And yeah, it's very likely his wallets are on a list and the people in his circle as well. All right, now Nerd Girl, I want to ask you more of a conspiratorial question here. You know, some more speculation here. Again, this is all speculation. Do you think that the CFTCs and the SEC crackdowns on some of these exchanges and some of these coins, could that have had anything to do with this? You know, in addition to Piano's point there, you know, now he has all this money and some free time. Why risk, working in a space that keeps getting all these hammers thrown everywhere?
Yeah, it's interesting that you should mention this because it's actually a topic that I communicate with that I've been communicating with journalists about lately. It's like it's something that they're looking into and writing about and investigating. So one of the topics kind of going around that I know multiple people are looking at is why multiple high-profile crypto executives have been resigning from their positions, and whether or not it's really stress or that they're in the wrong position, or if it's, fear about regulations and what could be coming down on the other side of the pipeline. So that's definitely going around. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's happening. I don't really know anything about Polkadot. I don't have any insight into what is going on with Gavin Wood's life or, thought process. But I mean, I really don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, especially maybe someone who doesn't like to have such a forward facing role can focus more on the things that they are good at and do enjoy working on. Like, doesn't mean that he's not involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He is still the main stakeholder. All right. Well, on that point, Crypto Keeper here, do you think that, now that he is no longer in that role, he can maybe focus on other things? Do you think this is stronger for the Polkadot community because now maybe it frees them up to do other things and maybe someone more CEO focus is taking the helm? Or is this maybe a sign of bad things to come that now it's potentially rudderless as compared to before?
Yeah, that could go either way. I will tell you, as a business owner, there are times when I get caught up doing things that are not beneficial to the company, but they're just a necessary evil of something that has to happen to take the next step forward. And so this could be an example of something just like that, where, he doesn't need to be in the CEO position to still make decisions, to work on the tech side of things. A lot of times you'll see some of these brilliant brains, which you have to agree that he's probably brilliant with what he's done with Solidity and other, the tech side of things. Some of these people are not the most brilliant as it relates to just actually operating a business or working with other people in that role. Just kind of like Nerd Girl was just saying, that maybe the forward-facing role is not the spot for him. And so as a business owner, I sometimes would love to be able to just replace myself. And that's actually how you continue to grow. So I would actually look at it as a positive thing. Now, there's always the speculation that the reason that they're stepping down is because they're trying to get out of the line of fire, that they want to have that little bit of space or that gap in between the SEC and themselves, whatever the case may be. But I think as a whole, to grow a business, you have to be able to work on the business, not work in the business as much. And sometimes I feel myself getting caught up working in the business, whereas if I'm able to step away, replace myself, I can then better effectively work on the business, which is what hopefully in this circumstance, because I love Polkadot, I think it's a really important project in the crypto space. Hopefully that's what's happening. Hopefully he's stepping back, working on the project, doing things that he's more effective with, as opposed to working.
That is
in the business.
quite the possibility. He does have a background. He was a former computer scientist at Microsoft, so yeah, maybe he's more comfortable behind the screen rather than a capital allocator. All right, well, let's get to the final topic. NFT royalties, paid out $1.8 billion over the past 12 months. Number one, obviously, Yuga Labs and the Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem. But number two might surprise you. Looking at, and just for reference here, the top 10 pulled in 500 million. Number two is actually Nike. I said it was a corporate overlord. Nike. This is their most expensive of their three drops. Is the Artifacts, and if you look, 1.67 floor, and the items, there are thousands upon thousands of these. I want to say it's 12,000 total volume there. So pulling in a lot of ETH, and they have multiple drops. Obviously, Yuga bringing in a whole lot. Yuga brought in $147 million. Art Blocks, just another art project, brought in $82 million. Number two, though, Nike, $91 million. They basically printing money. It's not just shoes that they're making money on. So a lot of money, but there's also a lot of controversy with royalties at the moment. We have Solana, the number one project on there, DeGods. They recently just got rid of royalties. Now, Magic Eden, with their announcements, royalties are now optional. If a project wants 0%, they can have 0%. Kelly, what do you think of that? You know, revenue, we're talking about businesses here and how to run a business. Revenue is an important part of a business. So how can an NFT succeed if they don't have royalties?
Well, I mean, I think it all goes back to what exactly does it have a use case that is actually either needed or highly wanted and like contested for? And if there's not royalties, I'm still a little bit unaware or unsure on the legality of some of this because of all the, this overreach, I'll call it, from Gary Gensler and securities and all these different sorts of things. I would be, for my own sort of risk profile, be a little bit hesitant on some of the projects because of the gray area that it falls into. But in terms of like paying out, I mean, I think we talked about this. I'm not sure if it was on Around the Blockchain, where we were talking about the DAO and the DAO, and then the council that was it Yuga Labs or Bored Ape Society had pulled together. And so I think all these different projects are really everybody's finding their way through this. Nobody really has an idea what exactly the plan is, because we're finding it along the way and trying to bounce against potential regulation or lack of regulation while also trying to deliver for the community. So I think you just need to find something that fits a utility use case that you're looking for and has whatever aesthetic appeal that you need, that you're looking for. Other than that, yeah, I'm not the biggest NFT person.
All right. Well, all right. This to you, Piano Matty B. I look at Piano Matty B. I'm like, this guy likes the freshest Jordans. You know, he's a hype beast. You know, you probably got all the coolest stuff. You know, Supreme on your socks and everything. I want to ask you this question: is there any brand that would get you excited when it comes to NFTs? Would it be, a Yamaha sound pack, perhaps, for a piano? Is there felt hats collection that you burn the NFT, they mail you one? What brand would get Piano Matty B's rhythm jumping?
Well, what I've been kind of keeping my eye on is how the music industry kind of rolls around this NFT thing, because I think moving forward, that might be the big instigator of the next kind of movement in this. And I mean, like, just like Bitcoin, we're so early into NFTs, no one really understands the potential of it. And when that becomes common knowledge, I don't understand the potential of it, but I can see from an artist point of view, if you can get your hands on something that people can sell and resell over and over again, it may be the dawning of the next leg of the music industry itself and film. And when that kind of comes into fruition, I think we'll see the real monumental growth in NFTs. But other than that, I'm kind of just watching. Maybe Dr. Dre comes out with it, maybe Snoop Dogg. I guess he has already. But when it comes with like music, you could buy music, you get tickets, you get concert, you get all that stuff just with buying an NFT. That's going to change my mind and really have me listening for more.
Okay, can I ask Matty B a question real quick? Have you heard of Tamago? Tamago is one of those.
No.
It's a streaming NFT music application service that's on Near Protocol, and they're one of those protocols that are trying to change the game in music and give that resale value while also not cannibalizing the music industry like Spotify does.
Yeah,
Right,
I will
there
say
you
this:
go.
I am short-term bearish on NFT music, long-term bullish. We definitely have to overcome the library. Right now, there's not enough NFTs to listen to. So you start your workout, you play the second song, and you're done. And then you're just going to open Apple, Spotify, Pandora, what have you. And so until we get more songs, that's when it'll finally blow up. All right, now Crypto Keeper, Nike pulled in $91 million. Do you think these other corporations, are they feeling the FOMO?
Man, I mean, the reality is there's a reason that Kevin O'Leary, if you watch Shark Tank, there's a reason that he's always talking about royalties. Royalties continue to pay. He talks
his
about
favorite word, perpetuity.
It's exactly what I was about to say. He talks about them in perpetuity, right? There's a reason that with Danger Close Alpha that we have a royalty on there. The facts are these NFT projects are a business or a subset of a larger business. They're an opportunity for a company to get in front of a lot of people in maybe a really creative way. The idea that taking away these royalties is a good idea kind of perplexes me, because the reason that some of the, like, why would you not get rewarded for you continuing to have your NFT being bought and sold? So somebody else is making money generally, right? When they resell it, there's a reason that they resell it. They make some money. Okay, they make their money. Now the founder should be able to make money. It's the same thing, even if you take it over to the music space, in Spotify, as they're, even though they have cannibalized these artists, the artists are getting paid as the listens continue, and the listens continue. It's part of the reason why I like Audius, actually, the ticker's audio, and they are giving the power back to these artists and allowing and using NFTs as part of that. But taking it away, I think, is just a ploy for some of these platforms, just to say, hey, we've got royalty free. You can buy and sell our NFTs without having to pay an extra 6, 7, 8, 10%. I think that's all it is. It is a marketing tactic for them to use, because the reality is businesses see royalties as a long-term play, as something that is going to continue to bolster and help them appreciate their business. And yeah, the other businesses that are looking at Nike have to look at it and say, okay, how do we follow suit? Because if we can make an extra $91 million, well, we want to do it as well. So yeah, I think they'll definitely be feeling the FOMO, and they'll be trying to figure out creative ways to continue to press forward their business model as it relates to NFTs, for sure.
Yeah, speaking of creative ways, Lord of the Rings actually released an NFT today. They had a $30 one, a $100 one. The $100 one, there's 1,000 sold out almost immediately, very quickly, 150, 170 on the secondary. The other one for 30, I think barely sold 15%. And so people, and it was a token gated thing. You get like a little behind the scene thing. So yeah, we're still seeing it. That was just today. All right. Now, Nerd Girl, I want to ask you about first mover advantage here. And real quick, the chat, Matty B, they're worried about your cat. Will you let us know, is the cat safe?
Yep, fine. Scaramucci's doing A-OK. He's outside right now chasing mice.
Okay. And Nerd Girl, they're worried about your light. Is your light bulb okay? That's, someone, Crypto Billy said he sent you one. All right, but back to the show here, back to a question. I want to ask you about first mover again. Gucci, they're in early. Adidas, they got in early. We have Nike, they're in early. We have, even Lord of the Rings, they're getting in early. Celebrities, Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence, Sir Anthony Hopkins, these people are getting in early. Will the early movers have an advantage 5 years from now? Because if you think of the early movers in crypto, sure, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, but you very quickly look at a list of poop coins. So being early didn't exactly help those coins. Will being early help those brands, though?
For NFT creators, I don't necessarily think so. I mean, because it's always like, what's the newest, hottest, coolest thing that, like in the NFT space, that doesn't necessarily have to do with who was the first one to create the NFTs. But if you look at like NFT marketplaces, that first mover advantage, I think, is particularly important, right? Like we've already, like OpenSea, you can't really compare anything else to it, at least not right now. And I can't see that changing like in the immediate future, right? Like I represent an NFT platform as one of the things that I do, and I can see them competing, but not to the level where they're synchronous with OpenSea, right? Like I think that it matters much more on the protocol level than on the individual creator level.
No, I actually think that's a pretty good breakdown. Yeah, I mean, if something cooler comes out, you don't care if that other thing was, 4 years older. If Kanye West, everyone's talking about him. If Yeezys hit, the blockchain, people might value those more than, Nikes that came out 2 years ago. Why? Because they're Yeezys. All right. Well, speaking of Yeezy, it looks like Crypto Keeper almost easily took it down with the 16 points there. Crypto Keeper, feel free on this weekend edition. Take it away. Leave us with some parting thoughts, sir.
Listen, first and foremost, make sure that you're following everybody on this panel. There's a reason that they're sitting here in front of you and taking time on a Friday evening to spit the alpha that they're putting out there. So make sure that you follow all the creators. If you're interested, we're talking about NFTs. Check out Danger Close Alpha. It's dangerclosealpha.com. We have another free mint coming up. It's going to be really exclusive, and that is going to give you access to be able, somebody, one person, not 0.5 ETH, but 5 ETH they are going to win as part of a competition that we're doing. Super excited about that. dangerclosealpha.com.
All right. I just want to win the Biggie Tupac poster. All right. That's all we got time for today, BitSquad. Until next week, be easy. And go watch Frankie. He's live in 10.